Warning. The following video contains strong language that some viewers may find offensive or disturbing.
What is the stupidest thing you've done just to show you could do it? I let a black widow spider bite me to prove that they were venomous but not deadly. I also won a $150 bet. As a kid, I told my friends I could hold my breath for a long time. Long enough to pass out. In fact. And that's exactly what I proceeded to do. My friends and used to have those breathing contests in the pool where you'd go underwater and see who could hold in their breath the longest. I'm a really competitive person, so of course I won. I passed out in the pool when I was 9 doing this. The lifeguard was too busy flirting to care and he thought I was faking it. Edit, typo. In grade school, maybe age 11 or 12, I had these cheap jeans. I figured out that I could flex my belly and pop the button open. Found this funny and guy friends in class got a laugh too. One of them turns to a girl. "Hey girl, check out what op can do." I flex my belly and let out a huge fart while the button popped open. She turned away. My buddy laughed. And I never did this trick again. Yeah. Something similar happened to me after a final in 8th grade. Me, my buddy and a girl across from us were done our tests, so we were doing dumb shit to pass the time. One example was holding our breath and making our faces turn red. In a dead silent classroom, I let out a high-pitched fart and I swear to God my soul left my body. It wasn't low and fast so you could pass it off as a chair. No sir, everyone knew I just ripped ass. Gotta love it. Yeah. I did the same in 10th grade. I was in the vice principal's office with about 30 other kids lined up because they messed up on our schedules. She was printing out new schedules for us and I had the urge to fart, but I held it for obvious reasons. The line was moving super slow and I was getting sweaty holding it so hard. By the time it was my turn, I stepped up to her desk and had been holding it so hard that it seeped out the front. I'm a woman in the longest, most bubbly, drawn out fart in my life. Then I had to wait for my schedule to finish printing. At least she had the decency to not make a scene. I don't know if the other students behind me heard, or if there was a smell. I just beat it out of there as soon as I could. Avoided her like the plague afterwards. I was glad I wouldn't have to see her anymore after I graduated high school. It comforted me to know that I wouldn't have to see her ever again after that, and I learned to cope and accept what had happened. But when I got hired at a school site last year, I learned she was now the principal there. So yep. She's my boss. Played that stupid fucking 5-finger fillet game with a compass back when I was in school. As I got more confidence, I obviously got faster and inevitably the point went right into the side of my fingertip. Fucking idiot. I played that stupid game at scout camp. I stopped after one of the younger scouts got too cocky because he could go faster than us older guys and sliced about 1/2 inch into the webbing between his fingers. I can still see the blood. Walked through the brush of our tree line to get a football to prove it wasn't poison ivy. I did it. I got the football. It was poison ivy. I once did something similar. But it turns out I'm immune to poison ivy. The rest of my friends? Not so much. Fun fact. Poison ivy in humans is like chocolate for dogs, it only affects 40 to 60% of things. With chocolate for dogs, it affects enough of them to just avoid all dogs from all chocolates just to be safe. With poison ivy in humans, only a certain percent get the effects. However, just because you don't get the effects the first time, such as itchiness and rashes, you can easily get them the second or third, etc. You can handle poison ivy 20 times thinking you're immune. Then all of a sudden the 21st time hits you like a brick. Like chocolate for dogs. Even if you think you're okay, it's still best to just avoid. I stabbed my leg with a pencil in elementary school. I told people I couldn't really feel much pain, which, at the time, was true. There was a spot on my leg from the lead for years. When I was 6, I stapled my fingers because I had convinced all of my friends that I had iron hands. I was around that age too, and I was fiddling around with a stapler and stapled my pointer fingers together. It was the skin just next to the nails, so it barely hurt. I went downstairs to tell my mom, who was doing laundry, that I stapled my fingers together. I still remember the look on her face to this day. Edit, then again that was yesterday, so of course I remember. I told my 6th grade friends I could just off a 2-story roof and not get hurt. Guess who only got a scraped knee that day? Not me. I broke my leg. Parkour people, on the other hand, can do a safety roll and be mostly unharmed aside from some mild pain. In 2001, my sister got me a Sony phone. A tiny little thing with a flip down front. She worked in a phone shop and got discount. On the box, it said the phone was waterproof and there were tiny rubber seals in places. I believed them. At the pub where I worked, this aspect came up in conversation. Some guy said the phone couldn't be waterproof, and that showerproof was probably more accurate. Remembering the box, I argued the point, and dropped my phone into a pint of beer in an effort to prove it. I was wrong. Brutal but well-earned life lesson. OMG, my friend did something similar at a bar years ago. She had a case called Lifeproof and she swore it made her phone indestructible. So she picked it up, slammed it on the table, and shouted, "Lifeproof." When she lifted it up, her entire screen was shattered. A buddy bet I couldn't finish the spiciest chicken sandwich at this joint known for insanely spicy chicken in under 30 minutes. I knew I fucked up when they gave me gloves to eat the sandwich so the sauce couldn't touch my skin and made me sign a waiver. Won the bet, but really I lost in the end. Edit, wow, this blew TF up. Thanks for the gold. For anyone who wanted to know, this was at Howlin' Ray's in LA. The Howlin' Hot lived up to its name. Snuck into the Hilton and confiscated a white robe. Got caught and they let me go without checking my backpack. That's alcohol for you. Won a donut eating contest. In 10 minutes I ate about 17 donuts. And seconds before the time was up and I had all my thoughts set on having a hearty cleansing puke, a motherfucker who wasn't even taking part yelled that throwing up afterwards should disqualify you. Somebody counted that I took in a few days' worth of calories. My appetite came back 2 days after. Cliff diving. Saw old man do a front flip off a 40-foot cliff. I said if he can do it, so can I. I did the flip all right. Followed by a belly flop that Zeus could hear. Knocked the air out of me. But luckily people were floating nearby to save my dumb ass. Shoved my pointer finger into my nose up to second knuckle. I then got a sinus infection. Who knew? My daughter did that to me when she was 2. Then she hooked her finger and pulled. Had a terrible blood nose and for a few days if I sneezed it would start back up. 0/10 would not recommend. When I was around 12, I was neglecting to flush my piss. Too busy playing Armored Core. So my dear mother brings me into the bathroom. And tells me if I don't flush next time, she's going to dip my hands in the piss. I looked at her, made a hammer fist, smashed it in the toilet, covered myself in piss, only a little on her, thank God. I wasn't even a malicious child. Just salivated at the opportunity to show I could withstand the punishment and was thus unafraid. I could imagine a little 12-year-old thinking he's badass dripping with piss and his mom completely terrified of his immense power. Not me, but one of my former coworkers told us about the time he ate a tub of butter on a dare. He made it about halfway through and had to throw up. He said what came out was neon yellow. For the next month, the smell of butter made him gag, and when he perspired, he could still smell it. You'd think he'd learn, but he attempted the butter tub challenge a second time. This time, he paced himself and actually finished the whole thing. He said the fuck up though was eating it before having to catch a train. While he was waiting, his heart was racing and he felt so amped up. He did push-ups and jumping jacks at Penn Station. Remained standing through as much taser as possible. My friend used up the battery on himself and said he was trying to get used to it. He said that eventually he would be able to remain standing. I said what the hell and tried. It's not easy fighting electroconvulsive action. We tasted ourselves and each other a bunch of times. I don't think we got better at resisting it. I say taser bit, I really mean stun gun, no prongs. One friend gets super creeped up when someone starts running at him like a dog. My friend realized I'm an expert in running like a dog. I proved to myself that it's possible to eat 5 kilos of shrimp in one sitting. I also proved that eating 5 kilos of shrimp in one sitting will make you very, very sick. Agreed. Red Lobster did all-you-can-eat shrimp once and I considered it a challenge. I sat down and immediately asked my waitress what the most shrimp she had seen a person eat was. I was learning MMA for 3 months when some guy challenged me to a fight. I immediately accepted it because I wanted to impress my crush by beating him. Turns out he was a national champion and was in the state for a MMA tournament. I got my ass kicked for solid 3 rounds. Jumped illegally over the China-Myanmar border. And back again. Edit. Well, this blew up. This was in 2002. I was in China legally. In the town of Ruili, Yunnan province. Across a small stream and 2 thin strings of barbed wire was the city of Muse, White Elephant City, Myanmar, which was closed to foreigners at the time. A group of opium addicts were smoking in the thick bushes growing near the border, and invited me over for a chat. I saw no border guards were within line of sight of me. So I did. We had an interesting chat in a mixture of English and Chinese. Later I wandered into the closest narrow street lined with dilapidated white wooden buildings, with bearded men in sarongs wandering around. I bought a Burmese noodle dish. No alcohol available in that state. Then I hightailed it back to the same crossing spot and over. About 90 minutes after I first went over. Ruili, China is, or at least was, a lawless borderland, with all the vices that lawless border towns typically attract. My crossing was the least of the local authorities' worries. I wouldn't repeat it or recommend it to anyone, though. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the notification button. See you next time.